Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Brakahakudash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video. Now I'm going to start it off in Micah chapter 7 verse 6. For the son dishonoreth the father, the daughter riseth up against her mother, the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies are the men of his own house. And hey, when this persecution really hits us, Akim, and our faces are plastered all over the news with rewards for people to turn us in, don't be surprised when some of the first ones to come against you, and not just some of the first ones to come against you, but some of the ones to come against you the hardest to turn you in to Esau are your own family members, your mom, your dad, brother, sister, uncles, cousins, even your own women and children. And the reason I opened up this video with this verse is because an article just came out on Breitbart.com titled, Biden administration asks Americans to report potentially radicalized friends and family. Hey, so it's up there. A man's enemies shall be those of his own household. And not just when that persecution comes and our faces are plastered on the news, Akim. Imagine how easy it'll be for those of your own household to turn you in when things really get desperate out here during Jacob's trouble. When there's food shortages, hey, a lights out situation, the internet's down, gas shortages, water shortages, you name it. And they say, look, we know one of your family members is a part of that Hebrew Israelite cult. Turn them in and we'll give you some goods. It's gonna happen, Akim. So just be preparing your spirit right now for that persecution to hit, so you're just not completely thrown off when it does come your way. But just know that if you put your faith in Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, no matter what comes your way, you'll be able to get through it. But let's get into this article. President Joe Biden's administration announced their plans to create ways for Americans to report radicalized friends and family to the government in an effort to fight domestic terrorism. And that's the big buzzword right now, especially with Biden's administration pushing for bills to combat so-called domestic terrorism and radicalized racist ideologies being pushed on the internet. And we know that all these different bills are mainly targeted at us. In a conversation with reporters, one senior administration official explained the importance of stopping politically fueled violence before it started. We will work to improve public awareness of federal resources to address concerning or threatening behavior before violence occurs, the official said. The official cited the Department of Homeland Security's If You See Something, Say Something campaign to help stop radical Islamic terror as a domestic possibility. And hey, I did a video the other day on this domestic terrorism bill, and it stated Islamic terrorism in there as well. And we know that Esau's been trying to link the Hebrew Israelite movement to Islamic terrorism. Like I said in the previous video, when 9/11 happened, our apostle elders up in New York were arrested in a so-called suspicion of having something to do with the 9/11 terrorist attacks. And also, I've heard it many times on the block, people ask us if we're Muslims. And hey, because I have a beard on my face, I've had some family members joke about me looking like Osama bin Laden. So that narrative is definitely out there. And when this persecution really gets pushed, expect them to try to tie this into us and tie us into Louis Farrakhan and all these other charlatans out here. This involves creating contexts in which those who are family members or friends or co-workers know that there are pathways and avenues to raise concerns and seek help for those who they have perceived to be radicalizing and potentially radicalizing towards violence, the official said. Biden began his presidency with a stark warning in his inauguration speech about the rise in political extremism, so-called white supremacy, which is really Edomite supremacy, and domestic terrorism, that we must confront and we will defeat. On June 1st, Biden described the threat from white supremacy as the most lethal threat to the homeland today. And like I said in my previous video on Biden's domestic terrorism bill, if white supremacy was really their main concern, then they would tear down the whole system of the U.S. government and these different Edomite governments across the planet, because they are an institution of so-called white or Edomite supremacy. They're the ones in rulership. The Biden administration said it would also work with large technology companies on increased information sharing to help combat radicalization. Technology companies, social media platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. And a lot of brothers have been seeing their pages get strikes and videos get taken down, and just their whole channels getting taken down. This is playing into the fame of the word as well. Any particular tech company often knows its platform very well, the official noted, but the government sees things, actually threats of violence across platforms. They see the relationship between online recruitment, radicalization, and violence in the physical world. The Department of Homeland Security also plans to deploy digital literacy and digital fitness programs to help combat malicious content online that bad actors deliberately try to disseminate. The officials reassured reporters that the administration's new strategies would remain laser focused on stopping violent acts. This is a strategy that is agnostic as to political ideology or off the spectrum, the official said. What matters is when individuals take their political or other grievances and turn that unacceptably, unlawfully into violent action. The official added the Biden administration was taking the threat of domestic terrorism seriously and would redirect the focus of intelligence agencies on internal threats. We are investing many agencies of the government and resourcing them appropriately and asking our citizens to participate, the official said, because ultimately this is really about homeland security being a responsibility of each citizen of our country to help us achieve. But hey, as the title of the article said, Biden administration asks Americans to report potentially radicalized friends and family. A man's foes shall be they of his own household. Hey, we're coming into the times, Akim, where those in your so-called family that you thought had your back and would never do anything like turn you into the authorities is going to happen. This is Matthew chapter 10. I'm going to start at verse 34. And this is Yahawashi Hamashiach speaking. Think not that I am come to send peace on the earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household. The very fact that we're following Yahweh Bahashem Yahawashi and changing our lives for the truth has put us at odds with our family members, because a lot of them are still in the world and see us as in some kind of a cult that's ruining our lives. And they see us as us thinking we're better than them because we don't eat pork anymore, we don't get a lining, we don't celebrate the holidays or anything like that. And they feel some kind of way. So when the time comes for the persecution and our faces are on the news and they add a reward for anybody to turn us in, don't be surprised when those of your own family, your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, uncles, aunts, cousins, even your own women and children turn you in. And like I said earlier, it's especially going to be up there when there are famines out here, the lights get turned out, there's water shortages, gas shortages, you name it. I'm going to jump up to verse 21. And the brother shall deliver up the brother to death, and the father the child. The children shall rise up against their parents and cause them to be put to death. Hey, your own family members turning you into the authorities, which could very well get you thrown into a concentration camp and you face having your head put into a guillotine. Verse 22, and ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endureth to the end shall be saved. Like I said earlier, Akim, whatever comes your way during these times of Jacob's trouble, your family members turning you in, or whatever, you end up in a concentration camp or your head's in a guillotine, hey, just put all your faith in Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai and endure until that bitter end like a good soldier of Yahweh Shai Hamashayat, and you're going to make it. You're going to be of that elect number, the first fruits in the kingdom of heaven. And that's definitely something worth fighting for, and if need be, worth dying for. So that's it with this video, Akim. And with this video, I hope you were edified. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.